Hello, my name is Terrence, and today I will be discussing a portion of a theory found in chapter 34 of A First Look at Communication Theory. The chapter is entitled Genderlect Styles of Deborah Tannen. Professor Tannen dives into the possibility of communication being a cross-cultural phenomenon, with men and women playing two separate, distinct roles. The portion of this overall theory that I will be touching on is the difference between how the two genders engage in communication, rapport talk and report talk. According to Professor Tannen, rapport talk is the conversational style typically utilized by women, and it aims to form a connection with others they're engaged in communication with. Report talk is the monolithic style utilized by men, and that aims to garner attention, relay information, and even win arguments or debates. From the onset, it's pretty clear that the two previously mentioned methods of communication are in tune with how men and women communicate typically act, with men being fact-based and women being emotionally driven. Reflecting on my own life though, I can recall several moments in where report talk and rapport talk were evident. One clear example is from one of my past relationships. When me and this particular ex would talk, she would want to talk about our feelings about each other and the overall status of our relationship as a whole, about how her day was at work, and any issues with any coworkers, and attempt to make future plans together. While I wanted to talk about how or what we were going to do that week, how do we pay certain bills or get food, and constantly making jokes. In hindsight though, when she would tell me I'm not talking enough or that I need to open up more, she was referring to my report talk. Where I felt I was talking enough because I was gauging in report talk and talking about things that appealed to me, she felt I wasn't talking enough because I wasn't engaging in rapport talk and talking about things that appealed to her. So eventually we would get into arguments about how I needed to talk to her more, open up more, and express my feelings better or more. And now that I've discussed my own experiences, I will now make some inferences. One inference I would like to make is that the gap between the two gender styles of communication can be closed if each side listens more and is open to communicating how the other side wants. Another inference is the differential styles between men and women is potentially the root cause of communication issues within relationships. Through my own experiences though, I feel like I have not only become a better communicator, but also a better active listener. Listening and acting on what I just heard used to be hard for me, but through my various experiences like the one previously mentioned, and various college courses like this one, I have been able to become better. Now that I have made some inferences, I will discuss how these inferences can be transferred to other situations. One situation in particular where genderless styles, but more specifically rapport talk and report talk, can be transferred and applied is cross-gender relationships at work. Another situation is cross-gender relationships and encounters at school. While we can and will encounter people of the other gender at either location, with a better understanding of the differences between the styles of the two genders can lead to better conversation encounters between the two genders. In conclusion, genderless style serves as a way to close the gap between how the two genders tend to communicate. Professor Tannen uses rapport talk and report talk to categorize how men and women communicate. While women tend to rely on emotional connections through conversations to strengthen and maintain relationships, men tend to rely on ideas and opinions through conversations to assert themselves and solve problems. The differences in how we use communication stems from how different we are, and when it comes to men and women. Generally speaking, we are inherently different, and those differences carry over to other conversations, how we communicate, and our goals and desires for our conversation. By understanding them, we can develop into more well-rounded individuals who can better communicate with others of the other gender, limit our communication misunderstandings, and create better relationships within our social worlds.